We all know the fitness industry is, well, booming. But have you ever really stopped to think about just how massive the market is for one single piece of equipment, like a standard treadmill? What does its global market actually tell us about health trends, wellness shifts around the world? Today, we're doing a deep dive. We've got the Global Standard Treadmill Market Report, this one's from Cognitive Market Research, covering 2025 right through to 2033. Our mission really is to pull out the key insights. Where's the growth? Why is it happening? What does it mean for how we understand, well, global consumers? And just to set the stage, this report, it shows the global market for standard treadmills generated nearly $4.9 billion in sales revenue. That was back in 2021.
Yeah, 4.9 billion. And that's really just the starting line. This dive is going to show us the story behind that number. We'll see where the growth engines really are, and maybe more importantly, why these figures matter for tracking consumer behavior, maybe even spotting investment opportunities. I mean, we're talking about a market that's set to jump to over, what, $6.1 billion by 2025?
Right.
And then it gets really interesting. By 2033, it's projected to hit close to $9.7 billion.
Almost double the 2021 figure.
Exactly. That reflects a really strong compound annual growth rate, the CAGR of nearly 6%, 5.87% to be precise, over the coming decade. That signals a very robust, very consistent global trend.
Okay, nearly 6%. Let's unpack that growth story then. Where should we start? Maybe North America. It's always a huge player in fitness.
Good place to start. Definitely a significant player.
And the report shows it's actually growing faster than the global average. So in 2021, the North American market was valued at just over $1.3 billion. And it's projected to more than double, hitting nearly $2.8 billion by 2033. That's with strong CAGR. You mentioned the global one was 5.87%. This one's about 6.25%.
Right. A noticeable step up.
And what's interesting is looking within North America, how it breaks down by country. The United States, well, no surprise there, it's the largest chunk, makes up the bulk of that $1.3 billion starting point.
Natural.
But Canada really pops out in the data. It's projected to have the highest growth rate in North America. It goes from around $159 million in 2021 to over $337 million by 2033. That's a CAGR over 6.3%.
Wow, leading the pack there.
Yeah. And Mexico also shows really solid growth, too, expected to clear $400 million by 2033 with a CAGR just over 6%.
You know, what's fascinating here is that overall North American growth, and especially Canada taking the lead like that, it suggests really strong, sustained demand.
Right.
This isn't just some temporary bump, It points towards home fitness, personal wellness becoming, well, deeply embedded, part of the lifestyle.
Makes sense.
People are clearly prioritizing convenience, accessibility for their workouts. Treadmills fit that bill perfectly, right?
Right.
And maybe it also reflects, disposable income levels supporting these kinds of purchases.
Okay, interesting point. So, shifting gears now. Let's cross the pond. What's happening in Europe?
Europe, okay.
The European market, it's substantial, nearly $885 million back in 2021, but it seems to show a slightly different pace compared to North America.
Different dynamic, yeah.
It's projected to grow, definitely, over $1.6 billion by 2033. But the CAGR is around 5.5%, so like you said, a bit below that global average of almost 6%.
Slightly slower.
And within Europe, you see some variations. The big markets like the UK, Germany, France, they show steady growth, but the KGRs are sort of hovering around 5.1% to 5.3%.
Okay. Consistent but not explosive.
Right. But then Italy offers a bit of a contrast. Its KGR is higher, around 5.8%, much closer to the global average.
Interesting. Italy specifically.
Yeah. And then there are these smaller markets like Luxembourg, tiny market size overall, but it actually boasts the highest KGR in Europe in this report, about 5.85%.
Luxembourg.
Yeah.
So if we try to connect that to the bigger picture, Europe's steady, but yeah, comparatively slower growth than North America. It might suggest different market dynamics, maybe maturity levels.
What do you mean by maturity levels?
Well, perhaps in many European countries, there's a more established gym culture already, or, maybe a stronger preference for outdoor activities, cycling, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Less reliance on home equipment.
Could be.
But then the higher growth in places like Italy and Little Luxembourg, that is intriguing. It could signal maybe emerging home fitness trends picking up steam in those specific areas, or perhaps just a rising focus on personal health and convenience that mirrors North America, just, on a slightly different timeline or scale.
Okay, so a more varied picture in Europe. Now, You mentioned earlier about growth engines, and the report really seems to point towards the Asia-Pacific region. This sounds like where it gets really interesting.
Absolutely. APAC is consistently highlighted for its immense potential. You've got the vast population, the growing middle class,
Yeah.
and the report backs this up. The market there started at over $1.2 billion in 2021,
Right.
and it's projected to hit more than $2.3 billion by 2033. The CAGR is solid, around 5.67%, so just a shade under the global average, but on a massive base.
And looking at the specific countries there, China and Japan, you'd expect them to be major players just based on size, and they are.
Significant volume.
But India shows particularly strong growth, nearly a 5.8% CAGR.
That's notable.
And maybe a bit of a surprise, Australia actually stands out with the highest growth rate in the APAC region. Its CAGR is projected over 6%.
Australia leading the way there.
Yeah.
Interesting. It raises that key question, doesn't it? What's really driving this dynamic growth across Asia Pacific?
Exactly.
I mean, the sheer volume in places like China and India, combined with those strong growth rates,
Yeah.
it clearly signals a powerful shift, a move towards personal health, towards wellness in these, rapidly developing economies.
Right. People getting more disposable income, prioritizing health.
Precisely. And then Australia leading in growth.
Yeah.
That might suggest a more mature market, perhaps influenced by trends we see in North America, adopting home fitness at an even faster pace now.
So a mix of developing economies catching up and mature ones accelerating.
Yeah, it seems that way. It's clear that as incomes rise, as health awareness increases, the demand for convenient, accessible home fitness solutions like treadmills is just skyrocketing across this incredibly diverse continent.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now let's turn our attention to what the report groups together as emerging markets. So we're talking South America, the Middle East, and Africa. And here, the growth numbers get particularly compelling, don't they?
They really do. This is where you see some of the highest KGRs overall. It really highlights that global trend of adoption.
Let's take South America first. The market there is projected to more than double. It was just over $309 million in 2021.
Okay.
Expected to reach over $643 million by 2033. And the CAGR, an impressive 6.19%. That's noticeably higher than the global average.
Higher than North America's overall rate even.
Exactly. Brazil is a big part of that naturally. But what really jumped out at me was a category labeled Rest of South America.
Oh,
Its projected CAGR is over 6.6%.
wow, 6.6.
Yeah. According to this report, that's the single highest growth rate mentioned anywhere.
That is striking. Really underscores the emerging aspect, significant potential.
Definitely. Okay, moving to the Middle East, we see steady expansion there too. The market's expected to grow from about $208 million to over $409 million by 2033. The CAGR is around 5.8%, so pretty close to the global average.
Solid, steady growth.
Within that, Saudi Arabia is a major contributor, and Qatar shows standout growth. Its CAGR is over 6.1%.
Qatar punching above its weight there, it seems.
It seems like it. And then lastly, Africa. A huge continent, obviously. The market there is projected to reach over $1.8 billion by 2033.
Of course, substantial numbers.
And Nigeria is highlighted as the largest single market in Africa within this report, showing strong growth itself, heading towards nearly $767 million by 2033, with the TGR close to 6%.
The truly fascinating thing, when you look at all these regions together, South America, Middle East, Africa, is the consistency of the high growth rates, often higher than the global average KGRs. And it's not just, small numbers making big percentage jumps anymore. It indicates a really significant global shift. Increased adoption of fitness equipment in places where maybe it was less common before.
Yeah.
It really points to exciting future opportunities, doesn't it? As these economies continue to develop, as health and wellness become more accessible, more prioritized.
It feels like a fundamental shift.
I think so. A fundamental shift in how people across really diverse economic landscapes are choosing to invest in their own well-being.
So bringing it all together then, what does this really mean for us, for you listening, trying to stay informed about these global shifts? I mean, this deep dive into just one piece of equipment, the treadmill, it really paints a picture of consistent, robust global demand. And the standout growth we're seeing in these emerging markets, South America, parts of the Middle East, Africa, areas in Asia Pacific, alongside that sustained demand in North America and Europe, it tells a pretty powerful story.
And it's a story that goes beyond just treadmills, doesn't it? This isn't just about selling fitness equipment.
No.
It's a reflection, I think, of deeper societal changes. It speaks volumes about evolving global priorities that increasing focus on health, on wellness. It points to new economic opportunities emerging as consumer habits fundamentally change. Maybe even how things like urbanization or digital connectivity are influencing our daily lives and our choices.
Right. And the different growth rates we saw, region by region, country by country.
Exactly. That nuanced picture hints at how fitness trends and economic development intertwine differently across the globe. It shows us where investment and consumer focus are really trending worldwide. And sometimes, like with Luxembourg or the rest of South America, it's in perhaps surprising places.
Well, this has been really insightful, taking that Vents market report and hopefully distilling it down into some clear, compelling takeaways about these global fitness trends. So, considering all these numbers and the story they seem to tell, here's something to think about. What do you think is truly driving this widespread, consistent demand for treadmills across the world? And maybe what other everyday items, things we might take for granted, could actually tell us a similar story about these profound global economic and social shifts?